My analog rhythm is gone, and I have this big old thing sitting in its place. And to replace it, I got this. Alright, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Late Night Tips. In this week's episode I'm going to tell you why I got rid of my analog rhythm. Of course, I did not get the Volca kick to replace the analog rhythm. What I'm going to do in here instead is I'm going to use the Analog 4, my Octatrack, and a little bit of Volca kick to replicate the sound of the analog rhythm. I decided to sell my analog rhythm right before the newest OS update, but to be honest, I probably wouldn't have installed the newest OS because I would not sacrifice overbridge to get the dual VCO. Before I sold it, I also recorded some footage with it to show you why I want to get rid of it. But since this was before the update, let me know in the comments if any of the problems that I mentioned in this video have been fixed with the newest OS. So in this video, I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I decided to sell the analog rhythm. Reason number 1. 3 sequencers were actually too much for me. I found myself jumping from machine to machine, operating on those 3 tiny screens on 3 electrons. It was just too much. So right now my setup is centralized around 2 machines. The Octatrack is taking care of the samples and also MIDI sequencing. And the sequencer on the Analog 4 is responsible for sequencing its own internal synthesizer sounds, but also sending control voltage to my no-coast. I think this setup is much better for me. It helps me focus and I have fewer screens to look at. My second reason for selling the analog rhythm is a big studio overhaul that I'm doing right now. I decided to get rid of some synthesizers, especially the instruments that had clearly defined roles in my setup. So the analog rhythm that was exclusively responsible for drums is gone. And so is my slim Phatty, which was responsible for all my bass lines. Now I want to focus a little bit more on sound design and developing relationships between the instruments that I have in here. That's why I got this big Mackie mixer in here with 4 sends, which allows me to process all of the incoming signal through 4 different effects units. This means that right now I'm going to invest a bit more money in processing. And I'm going to buy some effects pedals, maybe some Strymons, who knows. I'm going to document all the changes here on the channel, so please stay tuned for updates. My third reason is something that I like calling distribution of resources. What this means is that I would rather have 6 tracks on the analog rhythm with double the modulation possibilities. If I had 6 tracks on the rhythm with 2 envelopes, 2 filters, 2 filter envelopes, and 2 LFOs per track, I would be much more happy with the device. This could also be mitigated by introducing a neighbor machine like the one we know from the Octatrack or the Mono machine. I also felt a little bit limited by the fact that the coolest machine on the rhythm, namely the bass drum, the snare drum, and the clap machine, were limited to the first row only. All of those limitations made me realize that I would gain a lot of flexibility by using the Octatrack and the Analog 4 for my drums. And my fourth and maybe the most important reason for selling the analog rhythm was the inability to properly tune the kick drum. It's all over the place. This is somewhat in tune. That's in tune. And you go down, the same thing happens. So you saw it for yourself, but let me know in the comments if this has been fixed with the newest update. But all in all, for me, the ability to properly tune my kick drum is super important. I don't know what caused the stepping in the tuning, but for me it was a big deal and I decided to look for other solutions. Alright, so that's it for this episode of Late Night Tips. Let me know in the comments what instruments you recently sold. If you liked this video, make sure to leave a like. And if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to catch more tutorials, more jams, and more opinions. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night and take care.